Hey guys, and welcome to the Omega Sports Show. I am Dell with Omega Sports. It is Memorial Day weekend. We are headed right into that holiday weekend, and it is going to be a great one. If you are in town this weekend and you are ready to gear up right now, I'm going to go ahead and just start the show. We've got a great show for you today, but I'm going to go ahead and start with our Omega News, which is today we are launching our Memorial Day Mega Flex coupon. So make sure you're checking your email today, tomorrow, all weekend long so that you can take advantage of our Mega Flex Memorial Day offers. It is going to be in stores, and I promise you this is one that you're not going to want to miss. So if you're looking for footwear, if you're looking for some great sports like tennis or swimming, make sure you're checking your email for our Mega Flex Memorial Day coupon offer. It starts today. Make sure you don't miss an opportunity. It's going to go all the way until probably Tuesday, so we'll give you a little extra day, but don't waste any time because I know that we're going to be selling out of a lot of popular products, all right? Today, we've got a special show planned for you. As we go right into the Memorial Day weekend, I want to just help you guys. I want to touch your hearts with a great, inspiring story that I was able and I was lucky enough to come across. You know, in my role, I get to meet a lot of brand experts. I get to meet a lot of medical experts in the community, a lot of community leaders, and I get to meet really great folks, our neighbors that are out there with inspiring stories. And this is one today that I can't wait to share. I've got Mike Cook joining us today, and he's going to talk about his journey with weight loss and really how he found self-worth in all of his running enthusiasm that he's been displaying on social media. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this screen and I'm going to go into my screen share because I want to share with you kind of what I came across. So let's go ahead and pull up Mike's page before we bring him on. Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, so if you can see on the screen here, this is the page that I found. This is a young man out of Charlotte who is an avid runner. We'd seen him at races. We'd follow him. He's been following us. He's been promoting the love of running through all of his posts I would say I've probably been following this page for over a year now. It's super powerful, super inspiring. You know, if you're a runner, you're probably following Mike and you're seeing him on those courses and those trails. But one of the posts that I wanted to highlight here, really the one that struck me the most was when he started opening up about his weight loss journey, something that he struggled with early on in his childhood and continues to every single day continue to work on. So even though he's an avid runner and he's running marathons and he's putting in all the mileage, one of the things that I wanted to welcome him into our Omega Sports family was to really just talk about his bravery. I think that was my message to him when I reached out to him. I just said, hey, I just want to thank you for sharing such brave messaging in your posting to share your story. This is a recent post that he just put up that really talks about, I think the cliff notes here are, you know, when people think, hey, just because maybe someone looks a certain way, maybe it looks like they may have gotten their weight under control, does not mean that it is something that goes away overnight. And it doesn't mean that you've necessarily accomplished it, check marked it, and now you don't have to continue to work on it and continue to be disciplined and continue to give yourself grace and continue to keep yourself motivated to not fall back. And then also that grace part is when you do fall back, it's okay to get right back on it. So I've been following this page. I myself, when I was younger, dealt with weight issues. I continue to keep dealing with them. I'm probably a little bit more lucky for me because I'm a little bit taller, that I hide it a little bit more. But I know that when I am looking at folks and they're sharing their personal stories, and it's inspiring to see how running and how movement has helped folks. And it's not just a physical thing. It's helped them mentally find that self-worth. Every time they hit that milestone or that achievement, it just adds to that confidence that says, hey, I'm worth it. I'm okay. I can do more. I can train my body. I can put in the time. I can train my mind to accomplish the goals that I want. So I want to encourage you guys as we meet Mike to go ahead and check out his Instagram page. It is at CLT Native again. That's CLTNATIVEAGAIN. Follow his page because I promise you after today's interview, you're going to want to make sure that you're following him. So let's go ahead and bring Mike Cook in. All right, Mike, hello.
Hello.
All right, so I mentioned you're a Charlotte runner. So you're streaming today from Charlotte in your home.
Correct.
Yeah. And so I did a quick little background on why I wanted you on the show. As you remember, I reached out to you and then I had my team reach out to you because we just felt that you were being really brave and you were sharing some really in-depth and honest and just inspiring information about yourself. You were self-reflecting. And I remember it touching me, but then I also remember it touching so many other people, and they were leaving comments and everything. Because I think a lot of times we follow runners, and we get inspired that they've hit that personal best. They've accomplished this race, they've accomplished this marathon, and we celebrate all that. But we don't ever usually get to hear all the struggle and all of the challenges on self-worth and confidence that people deal with. And I just applaud you for doing that.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I try and keep it as authentic as I can, just because a lot of times, like, there are people that I follow and you see the things that they're doing and they look bulletproof on their page. And that works for some people. Like, I don't think everybody necessarily has to share everything about their life. I I still don't share everything about mine. It just To me, it's easier to speak about the things that would have helped me if I had someone to follow along with when I was growing up.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about growing up. I mean, your story and your struggle really starts at an early age.
Yeah, I was a big kid for most of my life, and then it like really got bad in high school. And then actually, when I was in junior, we had our senior portraits done, and that was not a good day for me. I was super hot, sweaty, just a mess. And then you get your senior picture, which all the TV shows and movies put all this emphasis on, like your senior picture. This is this famous person's senior picture. And I hated mine. And it really made me look at what I was doing. And like, you can be unhappy with where your body is. And then if you take a minute to look and see if you're doing the work, if you know you're not, then it can be an extra little hit of like, okay, yeah, kind of earned what I've got. So I can't be too mad about it.
Yeah, and I mean, again, with all of the honesty that you've shared in your posts, I think a lot of us, I'm one of those folks that are included in that, where we have those growing pains when we grew up and we didn't feel,
Mhm.
as um, as worthy, and sometimes we judge ourselves as not attractive, or we don't feel like we fit in. There's so many things that go through that, and then of course, if you start adding, being unhealthy, and that manifests into maybe a certain way that you look with extra weight. Yeah, that can put a lot on, especially a young kid. Because I remember thinking, like, in my like heaviest days as a young kid, like I remember feeling defeated and just feeling like it's never going to get better. And
Mhm.
so I just kept feeding myself, so it wasn't so much discipline. It was like I had no discipline because I was soothing myself with food.
Yeah, I can
Similar
definitely
experience to you?
relate with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I one of the things I try and talk about is that you can be unhealthy both directions. Like, there's no one way that's unhealthy. Like, my journey is that I was on a weight loss thing, but I've been 300 pounds and I've been 150 pounds, and I wasn't healthy either of those times.
Yeah.
So I always talk about weight loss, and I was heavy and this and that. And there are people that are where I was that have a healthier mindset than I did. So I try and like let people know I'm not saying you're unhealthy because you're big.
Right.
And like, there was a mental side, I wasn't eating right. So you're just technically unhealthy because you can't survive on just candy and chips and all that. It's like you're big and you're unhealthy. There's two different sides to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you nailed it. You can't just assume anything anymore. I mean, you could see someone who you think is maybe not so big, but it doesn't mean they're healthy. It doesn't mean that they're putting the right things in their body. It doesn't mean that they're moving and staying active. They just maybe just don't show their weight the way that other people do. I remember your post now. I remember the post. I think you actually like lifted your shirt and you talked about the fact that because you're running and perhaps people underneath with a shirt on and fully clothed, they don't know that there was a struggle there, in the past that you continue to keep working on and something that you even today still struggle with.
Yeah, that was something that I got a lot. Like when I started running with other people and started posting my runs on Instagram, like taking pictures, people would see, oh, it's like 90 degrees and you have a compression shirt and then your shirt on. And people are like, oh man, I like running without a shirt because then your nipples don't chafe and you don't get as hot, you can cool off. And it's like, well, yeah, but some people have loose skin, stretch marks, stuff that I don't need flapping around when I'm running. So I just like that post in particular, like I had a real bad run just having things move around and it was right after Thanksgiving, I think, and it was just whenever I get down low, when I used to just like retreat into myself and just eat and not see anybody, that's when I've tried to just, okay, I'm going to make a post about what I'm feeling now compared to where I've been. And it helps me see that you've made progress. Like you can be depressed or whatever, but you're not where you were before. So that's what I try and do just to have a healthier sort of outlet for my feelings.
Yeah. And so what does it feel like? I mean, besides marketers like me hounding you and saying, "Oh my God, I want to tell your story." What does it feel like when you see that people are responding to that truth? They're responding to your honesty.
Um, it feels great. Like I'm not gonna lie, it feels really good to have people reach out to me. And the thing that I find myself struggling with that's just a stupid self-conscious internet thing is that most people that I do have conversations with, it's in DMs. So I don't necessarily get the back and forth with people like on the post. So something that I've had like the most interaction with as far as in Instagram is concerned, nobody commented on that post.
Yeah.
So that's where I get a little in my head, but it is nice talking to other people and just helping someone figure out that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's never going to be overnight. And to do it correctly and healthy, it's going to take longer. So the fact that someone does have a stumbling block, it's easier to be like, look, if you lost 30 pounds in a week, probably not healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just nice to be able to share a story and hear another story that sounds like your story, and then you see that this person has overcome it or overcome because
Yeah.
it's always there.
Yep. And
For
we'll
me
talk
at
about that.
least.
We'll talk about how the journey continues. It doesn't, you can hit an achievement, but it doesn't mean it stops.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just made a post about that you were talking about before because someone reached out and was just like, man, I hope to get where you are, because they saw I'd ran, it's like 37 miles on a trail race, and they're like, that's awesome. It's like, I can't wait to be done with my weight loss journey and get there. And I was just like, hit the brakes, and not done, never done. It's like I could stop running tomorrow because I get hurt, and that would spiral me probably into gaining weight. And it's not something that you can kind of lose sight on, because I have, and I've gained weight back, and it's just being vigilant and staying consistent, which I find it's worked for me.
Yeah, I want to talk about the fact that running has really become something. I'm going to put it beyond just weight loss. I think running for you, and what I've seen in your journey, is really more about mental strength, and obviously there's some physicality to it. But I want to talk about running in a second, because that's obviously a big part of why people follow you, and some of these amazing things that you've been able to do with what I would call your run career. But I just want to kind of go back to when you were looking to make that change. Can you help people? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that have been there where they've said, okay, I recognize now I need to make a change. Tell us about that moment. I know I heard you say your high school senior, portrait or photo that kind of hung over your head of like, oh my gosh, this is going to live in infamy, and I'm not happy with it. I know that was probably one of the significant reasons, but tell me a little bit more about why the change happened and what you did to make it happen.
It's just when you retreat into yourself and you're the only person you spend time with, and you don't like that person, that's very hard. So I kind of made a deal with myself that, okay, if you're not going to interact with other people, you have to at least do the work on yourself. So that was kind of my jumping off point, which may be healthy, may not be healthy, to just put it all on yourself and just try and make the change to see what you can do. Like when I started running, it was 2003, and I made the same mistakes over and over and over again of just starting out way too fast. It's like, okay, I'm going to go run 5 miles because that's what people do who are in shape. They run 5 miles, not thinking that, oh, if you start out slow, build up how much you run, or whatever your goal is, going to the gym. You don't have to go and spend 6 hours in the gym. Just spend 30 minutes every day or every other day, build a consistent workout and make it part of a habit, which took me until 2019, until running was a part of my life, which happened because I got sober. So I sort of shifted from being an alcoholic to, I'm going to start really, really focusing on myself.
Yeah.
And you just kind of dive in, and it ended up being sort of a let's see what I can do. And like my main goal when I started in 2019 was, let's see if you can run a marathon. It's like, you talk about everything you can't do this, can't do that, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. Let's see if you can run a marathon. And just started. I went to Green Brothers Run Club, run by Jen Dufresne, who was amazing. It's like she's gotten me where I am now, without a doubt. But yeah, just started. And what I try and tell people is it's okay to start and then fail, as long as you fail better.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that saying, I don't remember who said it. But you just have to not let a backslide or a failure break you. It's like, as long as you are still consistent, which I wasn't when I started out, I would start running and I'd wear myself out, and a month later, stopped running, stopped working out, back to my old routines. So I try and tell people that you have to figure out what works. And it may not work right off the bat. Like I started running in 2003 and didn't run anything professionally. I didn't run a race or anything like that until 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to take a long time to figure it out, because it's going to take a long time. Like there is no finish. You're in it.
Yeah, and would you say, Mike, that your weight loss journey, obviously there were some ups and downs along the way.
Mhm.
And then we don't want to attribute just one thing to it. I know it was more than just running that really kind of helped you with that. Can you talk about, I heard you say you got sober, there's some changes that you made that really kind of overall helped your overall health. But I think it's important that people realize that just running alone is not going to give you everything that you want when it comes to your weight loss.
Right. I try and tell people as much as I can that it's mental. Like you have to get right with yourself, your image of yourself, and especially with running, you have to be okay being in your head for hours on end by yourself. And it's like there's no way to run 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever length your race is. You can't be hating yourself while you're doing that. That's never going to work. Like I talk to people who think I'll lose the weight and then I'll like myself. And it
Right.
just that's you got to flip that because it's going to be so much harder to get where you want to go if you don't like the person that you're traveling with. Like you have to get it right in your head and then go because it'll be so much easier. And it's okay to have days where you don't like yourself. I still have runs where I'm just like, you've run 37 miles. 2 miles into this run, you're complaining, oh, I don't want to do this. Stop. It just don't force it is what I try and tell people because you're going to have bad days and that's fine. One bad day is not going to put you back where you were 6 months ago if you're on the right track. It's about having more days where you were consistent than days that you weren't. It's like everybody thinks that you have to have this bulletproof plan that you're going to follow day by day by day by day. And then I'm going to end up at the finish line and we're good to go. But it's never going to go smooth like that. If it went smooth like that, you wouldn't be in a place where you don't want to be now. You just have to adapt to whatever it is and figure it out.
Yeah. And I love that you said that obviously one of the main things with running that people fail to realize if you're not a runner is that it is a mental strength activity. I mean, you have to train, you have to push yourself and you have to mentally be strong enough to get through, what normal people like myself would say, why would I ever spend that much time running? But you're really kind of training your brain. And when you said you have to like yourself or you have to get to a place with yourself that you can endure that length of time. I love hearing that. But I would also ask you, I mean, I know in the Charlotte community, that running community is so vibrant over there. And you mentioned, I think you said Jen, who helped
Mhm.
you. Talk about that community as well, because I do think that there is also peace in having others on the journey with you.
Oh, absolutely. We have, if you're on Instagram and you want to start running, Run Charlotte Run. It's Run CLT Run. Lisa is the best. I definitely would have stopped running, especially with like COVID happening, where I was going to run clubs, and that was so helpful for me to like run with other people. So you're not in your head. You can have conversations with people, and then like everything shut down, and it very easily could have been that I stopped running. But Lisa's built such a strong community here in Charlotte that you can just put hashtag run CLT run on your post and shoot it out, and you will get people saying, hey, nice to meet you, loved your run, good run, nice run, where do you run? I run here, this is what I'm training for, what are you training for? And just having other people to be accountable to just makes it so much easier, because if you've let yourself off before, you'll do it again because it's easy and you know you're good at it. But if you have other people where it's just like, well, I wasn't gonna run, but everybody else is running this virtual race, so I'm gonna go run this virtual race. And it's no different than if you would have just left your house and run it's like now it's a virtual race and you're part of something. And with run clubs coming back, I'm so happy, and races are coming back, and just being able to like share that experience where, I just ran 5, 6 miles, whatever, which even now is still something that blows my mind.
Mhm.
Like that's not something I ever saw myself doing. But then you get done with a run and you're talking to the people that you ran with, and it's just a shared experience, which makes it so much better.
Yeah. Well, one thing that what normally happens when you talk to someone who's gone through a significant amount of weight loss is we talk about the number. We talk about how much did you lose? And I don't want to do that because I don't think that's the important part of the story. I want to talk about your numbers of tell me about how many marathons, tell me about this huge race that you just did. I want you to brag about this, you have really accomplished a lot. And I know you said from 2003 to 2019, but you've really taken on some big races. I mean, we're not talking to someone who's like, okay, I just ran a 5K, and that's good. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's not knocking anyone who only does 5Ks, but you've continued to push yourself. So the numbers I'm interested in is tell me about your actual races.
Yeah, those are interesting, especially with races coming back. I have to, even I forget where I was before COVID. Um, Pre-COVID, the longest race I'd done was around the Crown here in Charlotte, which was a 10K, which was huge for me then. And I was training for Charlotte Race Fest half marathon, and then COVID happened and it ended up being virtual. So that was I did my first half marathon in virtual quarantine. I did my first marathon on the day of my 1 year sobriety in quarantine. And then October of 2020, I did my first ultra marathon, a 50K trail race with the Vagamot Endurance guys.
Wow.
And since quarantine started, I've done 3 50Ks and 4 marathons,
Wow.
all virtual. Well, not all virtual. One 50K was hosted in person, socially distanced, and all that. But most of my races have been virtual. So I'm excited to get back to having pacers and the energy of having people there, because before I did Around the Crown, I was terrified of the 13-minute minimum pace. And then I ended up with like a 9:30 minute mile average at the end, just because you have that energy from the crowd and the community. And I'm excited to see what I can do with that, like running a real marathon where I don't have to carry all my water on me.
Yeah.
That'll be nice to have like aid stations and pacers, because I'm not the best at pacing myself. So I'm excited to have that back. But yeah, it's crazy, like talking to people that know me from before I started being a runner, because there
Yeah.
are people now that know me as a runner. And I just ran a trail marathon by myself this past weekend. It's just it's just a thing that I did, and the people that know me were just like, oh, okay, cool. Then you talk to like someone from work and they're like, what'd you do this weekend? And it's like, oh, I ran a trail marathon. And it was like, what? It is like this weird thing where you're just you're immune to these huge races that most people will never run a marathon, and then you're just doing one because you were bored on a Saturday. So it is crazy, and I don't think about it that often because it is just weird to think about.
Well, I think it's also cool that you're finding, a new outlet. Whatever I always say, there are people who are out there that have a lot of vices. And if you can turn those vices and those things that you're passionate about into things that are actually healthy and or
Mhm.
exciting, like running a marathon or running a race, and to the point where you can just say, "Oh, I don't have anything planned this weekend. Let me go ahead and just pick up a race." I love hearing that. And I do want to make sure, Mike, you have to make sure you stay on top of me and my team. I want to make sure that we get you to or invite you out to our Cannonball, the Mega Sports Cannonball Marathon, which is over in Greensboro. But I'll send you some details on that. I'd love for you to experience that. It's a fun race that we're the title sponsor of. We're super excited about that. It's our second, I think, year being title sponsor. It's presented by Wake Forest Baptist Health, but it's a fun race. We always have a good time with it. I need to make sure that you're a part of it. If I can get you out to the Greensboro area.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, one thing that I do want to make sure that we do is that I want you to make sure that you're sharing some really important tips for folks that are, looking and, hopefully they're following you and they see that you are encouraging and you've got a high level of empathy when it comes to folks that may, be struggling with weight. Let's give them some tips on things to, like, one, what does it take to get started? Another thing that I'd say is, like, how do you maintain or how do you continue to give yourself grace as you do it? And then if you do fall back, how do you get that motivation to come back to it? Because I know in your journey, you've had those ups and downs and, long stretches of time. So let's make sure that we share some good tips on, anyone out there that may, and it doesn't have to be weight loss, just anyone who needs motivation, really.
Yeah. As far as getting started, I would have killed for social media back when I was getting started. And I know social media is like a double-edged sword because
I was going
some
to say,
people are just
say that
full
now.
of crap. Yeah, some people are just full of crap, but that's my first tip is to consume as much from different sources as you can, because anyone that tells anyone that tells you this is what you have to do, stop. Cut that person out because that's not trustworthy, because nothing is going to work for every single person. Because if it did, you wouldn't need to find some random person on the internet telling you this is what works. So if you follow a bunch of people, see what they're doing, try and do it on your scale, and scaling things down to your level would have helped me so much when I started, because it's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be impossible when you start. So if running for 2 minutes is all you can do comfortably, perfect. That's your starting point. Do that until you're a little faster, or when you're done, maybe you're not so tired and you can go a little bit longer and go a little bit slower and go longer, or a little faster and you just didn't go for as long a distance. Just finding out what works for you. And it may not be running, because running is not for everyone, but trying as many things as you can. And here in the Charlotte area, I think they're in more areas too, we have things like SweatNet and ClassPass, where you can, for a monthly subscription, you get access to like spin classes and treadmill classes and group yoga classes. Like, find a bunch of things to just try out. And I mean, it's weird now with what we're going through, but you know, now is a perfect time to start, because it's only going to get easier to do more stuff as restrictions are lifted. So if you can make yourself start now, it's only going to be easier to continue to get in that habit and do stuff. And if you find something that you like, you're going to want to do it because it's fun. And if you can have fun making better choices, you're unstoppable.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We have a wonderful partnership with Dr. Scott Jablonka over at Carolina Movement Doc, who hosts our Move More podcast. And I will tell you, he's definitely opened up a lot of folks' eyes, including myself, on more than ever getting to that from wellness to fitness level is even more important because, with things like COVID and other things that are coming around the corner, you just never know. Getting your health in check and pushing your body, and spending time on the things that will help protect you on things like chronic diseases, pandemics, like all those things that are out there. I don't know if people really realized how important. I think we've probably turned health into a fashion where it's really more of like, no, it's about survival. We have to like be healthy to survive and to be able to be able to defend ourselves for things that you just never know, whether it's a pandemic, it's a disease, it's a chronic disease, whatever it is. Getting yourself healthy is very important. So yeah, Dr. Jablonka has done a great job of educating us on the importance of, pushing. If you're able to find that sport, I love what you said, find that sport, find that activity, find that passion that just keeps you moving. Because movement is going to help you really in that defense mode of all the things that you want to try to, stay away from and not happen to you.
Absolutely. And just building up those little victories for yourself, especially if your self-esteem is really low. Like, oh, I ran faster than I have before. That's my fastest mile. Like even now I get PRs on runs where I'm just like, cool, that was my fastest mile. That was my fastest quarter mile, half marathon, whatever. Those little victories are so helpful in making sure that you're going to come back. So if you find something that you're interested in and you can get better at it, that's huge for changing the way you think about yourself. Because if you're just doing it because you hate this thing or that thing, that's the wrong motivation. You need to find the little things that you can feel good about that you can build on. And that took me way too long to figure out.
Yeah. Well, we're super happy that you were able to get on the right track. I'm not going to say you figured it all out, but you've definitely gotten on the right track, and you know what it takes to stay on the track. I think that's the takeaway that I'm getting from you. So I'm going to ask you, Mike, what do you want to do with all this? You are you're going to continue to keep running. You're going to continue to probably sign up for races. You're inspiring people left and right. What do you want out of this? What's the next thing for Mike?
The next thing for me is just I've been focusing on distance, just like how far you can go. And the next step in my process is to run a 50 miler, which is ridiculous to say because like my picture in my head of what I look like is still closer to my senior picture than this.
Mm-hmm.
Which I posted about not that long ago. It was like, it just hit me that like I take pictures of myself all the time, which never happened before. So it's just, I can see that mental shift of, okay, you don't hate yourself that much if you're constantly making people look at you. Cause like I blow my Instagram stories up with me running or whatever and like sweaty and ugly and nasty and just, yeah. It's for me just trying to figure out what I can do because I've spent most of my life saying what I can't do. So seeing if I can run a 50 miler, 100K, 100 miler, which is probably going to be attempted in December.
Wow.
So I have to hit the 50 miler and then learn how to do that twice. But I just try and remember that there was a time when I was just like, how do you run 13 miles? And now 13 miles is still a challenge, but it doesn't scare me. So you just have to figure out what you want to do and just go. So for me, it's distance. Like I'm never going to be fast because I don't like going fast that much. Like, and it's okay. You don't have to be fast.
Yeah.
You can go slow. I know a lot of fast people that have never done 30 miles. That's fine. I win.
Great. Yeah, if you want help with that 50 miler, let me tell you, we've got our head of running, Dan Keller, who of course is in Charlotte. You need to talk to him. He'll tell you what it takes. He's done it. I mean, I don't think he's done it. I think this year he ran one. I think he's probably done it for years. So he's one that I would definitely I'll hook you up with and have him tell you what it takes. I've been to several leadership meetings where someone brings up the fact that, Dan, didn't you just do a 50 miler last weekend? It's just regular talk, no big deal. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, I did it, no big deal.
That's what I love about runners specifically, is that we're all ridiculous people. Like there's no reason that you can tell non-runners for why you went out and ran for 6 hours on a Saturday morning. There's just no answer that's going to be good enough for them. You either get it or you don't. And if you get it, then it's just totally normal for you to say, oh yeah, I went and ran 50 miles. Cool. Congrats. That's awesome. It's like, I'm hoping to get there. It's like, who hopes to go and run 50 miles? That's a weird thing to do.
Yeah, it's not like you're not making like, there's no prize money at the end of that 50 miles, you know?
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. I think it's fun, but I love that you're challenging yourself to continue to keep pushing that distance. I think it's inspiring to see anyone attempt that, and then knowing that the discipline and the level of complexity it takes to be able to just be with yourself during that time frame, and then just keep your body up to the challenge, I think is also a feat in itself. So yeah. So Mike, I want to just say to you that I am so happy that you feel that you are included in this running community, that you feel like you are a part of something that is bigger than yourselves, that you can just enjoy and you have the camaraderie and the neighborship is what we like to call it at Omega Sports. But more importantly, I applaud you for finding that strength and self-worth inside yourself to be able to do that run, whether you're with a running group or you're by yourself. I just applaud that, because it's not easy to do, and you're still fairly young and you're able to accomplish these things early on in life, where a lot of folks, it takes decades for them to figure this out.
Well, thank you. I'm not that young, but yeah. It's hard to put into words kind of what running has given me, which is why I try and share that I'm not this complete person who's got it all figured out online, which I think most people like would be like overshare when I post stuff. But I like to put it out there because you never know what's going to help something click for someone else. And it's a community. So I've gotten inspiration from other people. So if I can give inspiration to someone else, that's just how it works.
Yep. Well, we want you to continue to keep sharing. We want to see the highs, and we want to be there to support you when there's those low moments as well. So you can always count on Mega Sports to be there for you. We want to continue to build good neighborship with you, and of course, the running community in Charlotte is just vibrant, and we want to do what we can to help support that. But yeah, I'm going to get you to that Cannonball Marathon.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you reaching out and having me come on and talk with you guys, because I think anybody who's been in Charlotte or North Carolina for any amount of time has heard the Omega jingles on the radio, and like growing up listening to those, like I was not the kid who was going to be on an Omega Sports show. So kind of getting to this point is really cool.
So, Mike, I'm going to end with that. That point that you just made is exactly why I'm here, and why Omega Sports, I think, is going to continue to be successful. Because one of the things that I am passionate about is to make sure that everyone is included. We want people moving more, running more, and playing more. It doesn't mean that you have to be this huge athlete. You don't have to, go for those trophies. I literally, my mission for Omega is to build a greater neighborship with our community, and to help people realize that all we really want is, we want you running more, moving more, and playing more, and enjoying life. That's it. You don't have to be this super ultra athlete. Now, we certainly are here for those athletes, but I want anyone to feel comfortable coming into any of our neighborhood sports stores and, finding something new. It could be that you came in and found pickleball. That's the newest sport that everyone's talking about right now. It could be that you just want a good fitted pair of shoes to go walking around your neighborhood because you're so bored from being in your house. Like whatever it takes. Omega Sports, the new world for us is active play. Like sports we love and we support it, but we just want people moving, and we call it active play. We want that activity, that enjoyment in life, so that any little kid, no matter what size they are, no matter what, athletic skills they have, they should be able to come into our stores with their parents and confidently know that all we care about is keeping them moving.
Absolutely. And you guys do a great job. And your stores are excellent places to go in and just find something that's going to give you a little pep. Like the last time I was in there, I got a new pair of sunglasses and a pair of Carolina Panthers socks. And it's just something fun to keep you motivated and, support your local running store, because that's important. Yeah. So I really appreciate that you guys are always active on social media and you're reaching out to people like me who there's no reason that you should know who I am, but you do, and that's cool.
Yeah, well, we do because you inspire us. So that's the main thing. And you're out there doing the things that are important to you, and that's what we want all of our customers, all of our neighbors to be able to do, living their best lives any way that they know how, that they're safe and healthy. That's all we care about.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing a lot of good work, and I'm still in shock that people find joy and comfort out of what I put out there, because most of the time it's just me being an idiot on Instagram. And 2 years ago, I was just posting beer and food on my Instagram. So to be where I am now, it's super cool.
Yeah,
so I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. You well deserved, man. Well deserved, and continue to keep your journey strong. And we're here for you to support you. All right.
All right, man.
All right. Well, you have a good one. Thank you for joining us, and happy Memorial Day. I'm sure you're going to go out running somewhere, racing somewhere, winning something.
Every run is a win.
Yep. All right. All right, guys. Well, that is the show. Again, I just encourage you to, if it's not Mike, although you should be following Mike, if it's not Mike, look at those stories in Instagram, look at social media, and find those folks that keep you motivated. Find those personal stories that will, connect with you. There's like-mindedness that's out there. There are neighbors out there that are doing some extraordinary things, and we're going to continue to keep sharing their inspirational stories. You guys have a great day. Happy Memorial Day. Be safe this weekend. Have fun. And remember to check your email for your MegaFlex Memorial Day weekend special.